fantastic opportunity for me. I'm so honored to be able to have my work here in these amazing surroundings. The really neat thing about this exhibition is a lot of these works come from, they weren't all made just for this one show. They come from shows back as far as 2007 at Plus Gallery, from pieces like Castle and Ghost that were in Arizona, others that have been in New York, and all around. And it's really fantastic to see all these be able to come back together in one location. We could start with these two. When they get bigger, they're actually, they start from, well, let's go way back. When I'm developing these ideas, I'm actually drawing in Microsoft Paint. It's a really old computer program. I blow it up to 800%, and I'm drawing pixel at a time. And this is how I generate my ideas. Once I've got my ideas, I move those forms into a 3D modeling program and have the pieces cut. So each side is an individual piece that was cut on a 3D laser printing table, and then they're all welded back together. So Buck's been around for a really long time. This one I built in 2007 for a show at Plus Gallery here in Denver called Walk in the Park. And this one's been all over the place, really. He started in Plus Gallery. He's been out to Colorado Springs. He's been to Santa Barbara, California. He's been in Los Angeles. I'm trying to think of all the places he's been. He's been so many places. All the works from one side, there's an entirely flat surface. So these, this side is the flat surface, and then the rest of it is actually just kind of shaped from there, and then it's extruded. I think of them in a way, since they do have this kind of flat side as shaped canvases. They're really kind of somewhere in between painting and sculpture in a lot of ways. Because these have been around so long, you can see how they've also aged. There's been a lot of graffiti. What I really love about this siding, though, is these, the reflections in this pond. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Pinky and Mr. Green. Mr. Green was named after my father-in-law. And then Pinky, I don't know. Just named after its color, really. I couldn't think of anything else. They're very similar shape, and really the only identifying, parts that set them apart is, kind of hair and what appears to be a skirt on the other one there. These are automotive paint because they are smaller. Again, they've been around since 2007, and still kind of two of my favorites, actually. I really love these two. To build these things, they're very accurate, and actually when you get smaller, they're in a lot of ways harder to fabricate. Something that's small, you can tell if it's off, by a little bit. The bigger it gets, you got a lot more room to cheat. So, an 1/8 of an inch on like bird over the space of the whole sculpture, you're not going to notice that. An 1/8 of an inch, from the nose to the head here, you'd actually start to see that curve. So these are a lot more precise than those. Cool, so this one is Wave. This one was made specifically for the exhibition here. As I was walking through the gardens, there's all these beautiful areas of water, and that kept kind of coming back to me while I was thinking of ideas. Wave comes from, actually, this is a rug that I saw one time. We were hiking over at Torrey Pines, and they have kind of an interpretive center there, but there's this Native American rug, and there's this wave motif on the rug that actually kind of interlocks. So if you were to build another one of these and turn it upside down, it would actually fit right inside there. And then the next one could actually go upside down and continue here, and it would kind of go on forever and ever like that. When I draw these things, I'm starting with the pixels. Sometimes they're a little more complicated. I think this one had more notches out, so I was kind of trying to round those arms out. I had some where they were just kind of straight across, but this was the one that kind of got that information across the easiest, and I think just offsetting the arms alone gives it, makes it a little bit more natural, and it gives it a little bit of personality. The grasses and stuff that are coming up really connect visually with that same color. See some of these plants that are that brighter green, and but at the same time it is still kind of an artificial green. Yeah, when I picked this green, I was thinking about Tupperware, actually. So that's where the green came from. So this is probably the smallest piece in the exhibition, but you know, for Garden Gnome, he's pretty big. What can I say? A little different, very similar, you know, when we look back at the Ghost in the Castle, in that he is kind of these blocked out colors, but quite a few more colors, which really does extend that painting process, you know, from a day to multiple days. What I did find out later, I drew this thing up and I kind of, you know, figured out all the colors that I liked, but I found out that gnomes, actually male gnomes, have red hats normally. Not always, but for the most part they have red hats. So the finish on all of them is this kind of, these are automotive paint. If they're under 1,000 pounds, they're usually automotive paint. The bigger ones are industrial marine paint, and they're kind of beat up afterwards. I use cinder blocks and sanders and different things to kind of give them this feeling that they've been around. And then as they hang out, that process kind of continues. They become more patinaed. Part of the reason for that is referencing some of these ideas that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about 60s minimalist sculpture, and 80s, you know, pixelated images. And so it's a visual clue to tell you, you know, that these things are talking about something that's come before them. So this is Bird, and Bird and Birdie were actually designed to be bird friends. They were supposed to be made at the same time. There's, down where I live, there's actually a lagoon, and bird watchers come from all over the place there to see birds. And so I was going to do a project there for the local college, and I presented, you know, Bird and Birdie as a pair. They actually couldn't be over 8 feet tall because of the birds. So anything over 8 feet tall, there's some kind of rule. So long story short, I didn't get the commission, but I still teach there. I got a teaching job out of it. Go figure. And I ended up making Birdie later for a show in Palm Desert. A lot of golf courses out there, so there's kind of a reference to golfing with the Birdie. And then years later, I still wanted to have them as a pair. That's the way I'd always thought of them. And so I was able to, for the exhibition we did at Brigham Young University, the 8-bit modern, I was finally able to build this one. So this was built specifically for that exhibition, and they were able to kind of be together finally. Sailboat's been around as an idea for a long time. I actually was doing these thrift store paintings, and I would take whatever landscape was in the thrift store painting and paint a sculpture into it. So I have one with flowers and a pink robot, and then I have a painting with a lake and a very similar sailboat to this one out on the lake. The sailboat, I think, is funny in the way that to make a triangle using squares, you know, it comes out as something kind of different. Video games are these, you have these avatars that are moving through these environments. So really, you know, as I build these sculptures, it's taking something that's virtual and it's pulling it out of that virtual world and making it something that exists in our world.
To distill something from the natural world into its very most basic elements, enabling a human being to fill in all the blanks, to make all the assumptions, to connect all the literal dots, is really a powerful thing. And what we're hoping with this exhibit is that people will not only have a fun time seeing it, that their minds will wander when they see it, maybe they'll have some great memories when they see it, but they'll begin to realize that we need to look at the natural world in a different way as well.